doing business as Eversource Energy, for approval by the Department of Public Utilities of a long-term contract for procurement of clean energy generation pursuant to Section 83D of an act relative to green communities as amended in 2016. DPU 18-65, petition of Massachusetts Electric Company and Nantucket Electric Company, each doing business as National Grid, for approval by the Department of Public Utilities of a long-term contract for procurement of clean energy generation pursuant to Section 83D of an act relative to green communities as amended in 2016. DPU 18-66, petition of Fitchburg Gas and Electric Light Company doing business as Unitil for approval by the Department of Public Utilities of a long-term contract for procurement of clean energy generation pursuant to Section 83D of an act relative to green communities as amended in 2016. My name is Kate Tomei, and I am one of the hearing officers assigned to these cases by the Department of Public Utilities. Here with me today on the bench is Chairwoman Angela O'Connor, Alan Chopalian, the other hearing officer assigned to these cases, Morgan Trayantan, Travis Lindsay, and Megan Wu of the Electric Power Division. This is a public hearing in response to the July 23rd, 2018 filings by the three petitioners, pursuant to which each company is seeking the approval of a long-term contract for procurement of clean energy generation. The purpose of this public hearing is to allow any interested persons to be heard on the notice of the company's petitions. When this public hearing is adjourned, we will proceed immediately with a procedural conference, at which time we will discuss the procedural schedule for the evidentiary portion of this case. Beginning with the companies, would counsel please identify themselves for the record?
Thank you, Madam Hearing Officer. John K. Happen, Keegan Willen LLP, on behalf of Massachusetts Electric Company and Nantucket Electric Company, doing business as National Grid.
Also on behalf of National Grid, Matthew Stern, welcome.
On behalf of NECEC Electric Company doing business as Eversource Energy, Carrie Mahoney from the law firm Keegan Willen, also entering an appearance but not present, Daniel Winter from the law firm.
Good afternoon, Bill Hewitt of the law firm Hewitt during this afternoon on behalf of Fitchburg Gas Electric Light Company doing business as Unitil. Also entering an appearance, however, unavailable today is Jared Upworth, who's joining before the council.
On behalf of the Attorney General's Office, Elizabeth Anthony and Matthew Saunders. Also appearing on behalf of the Attorney General, but not here today, is Christina Ballou and Shannon Beal.
On behalf of the Massachusetts Department of Energy Resources, Ben Dobbs, my colleague Colin Carroll, also appearing but not present today, Rob Hoagland and Tanya Larrabee.
Then the Low-Income Network, Carol Oppenheim, and my colleague,
On behalf of the Western Mass Industrial Group, Bob Reddick from Lockwood Public Policy Group.
On behalf of the Energy Consortium, Jay Myers from Lockwood Public Policy Group.
On behalf of Central Maine Power, Andrew Kaplan and Jared Berger from Pearson.
Also on behalf of Central Maine Power, Ken Nosel from the law firm of Brown Brothers.
on behalf of Associated Industries of Massachusetts, Paul Rio.
Nora Healy from the law firm Rivera Dana on behalf of Rivera Inc. And not with me here today, but also entering an appearance is Bill Harwood.
On behalf of NextEra Energy Resources, David Hogan, along with Kate Boucher, the law firm Lockwood. With me also is Brian Murphy of NextEra, for whom there's a motion for admission to the document.
Francis Flaro for Review Northeast.
On behalf of TDI New England, Terrence Burke from King & Spalding.
Anyone else? The department required the companies to provide notice of its filing and this public hearing in accordance with the July 27, 2018 order of notice issued in these proceedings. Counsel for the companies have provided the return of service and proof of publication to the department. The documents appear to be in order and are accepted as such. The Attorney General for the Commonwealth has intervened in each of these three proceedings and thus is a party in accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 12, Section 11E. On July 24th, 2018, the Attorney General filed with the Department a notice of retention of experts and consultants, requesting the Department approval to spend up to $150,000 in each of these three matters. On July 27, 2018, the Department issued a request for comments on the Attorney General's notice of retention of experts and consultants, in which the Department directed any party wishing to comment on the notice to file such comments by August 9, 2018. The Department received no such comments. Are there any members of the public or legislature here who wish to be heard today? I have the sign-in sheet and have a number of names here, so we know that there are some members of the public who wish to be heard.
Where shall I stand?
One second. I will call you each based on the sign-in sheet, but
Okay.
first I'm going to explain a little bit about the public hearing process. This hearing is held in order to inform the public about the company's petitions and to give the public an opportunity to express its concerns to the department. There are two types of hearings that the department holds in a case like this. The first is a public hearing, which is what we are at today, to hear the comments and concerns the public has about the company's petitions. The second is an evidentiary hearing in which the parties present testimonial and documentary evidence, both of which are subject to questioning. We will discuss the schedule for evidentiary hearings during the procedural conference immediately following this public hearing. Counsel for the companies may make brief statements. However, the main purpose of this hearing is to allow the public the opportunity to be heard. Would counsel for the companies like to make a brief statement to begin?
No comments from me.
Okay. I will now describe the hearing process so you'll know what to expect. The process is designed to ensure that all sides get a fair hearing and that members of the public have a full opportunity to make their views known. There are two types of presentations that you may make this afternoon. One is called a sworn statement and the other is an unsworn statement. The department will give equal attention to both of these statements. However, the law provides that a statement may only be part of the factual record if it is a sworn statement made under oath. If the statement is not made under oath, the department would have to obtain corroboration through other means. When you come forward to speak, I will administer the oath unless you let me know that you would prefer to make an unsworn statement. I will respect your preference in this matter. After I hear from all members of the public wishing to speak, I will adjourn the public hearing. We have two locations available for you to make your comments, and we have microphones at both. You can sit if you would prefer up here at this front desk, or you can stand at the podium over here. Both of the microphones are currently in the off position, so when you come up, please make sure to put them in the on position. And please make sure to spell both your first and last name for the stenographer. The department traditionally affords elected officials the first opportunity to speak. Are there any constitutional officers who wish to be heard? Are there any state senators or representatives who wish to be heard? Are there any municipal officials? Okay. I will now begin calling members of the public based on the sign-in sheet. Once we make it through the sign-in sheet, if your name has not been called, we will still have an opportunity to come comment. Caleb Jacob. Can we please stand and raise your right hand?
I'd like to make an unsworn statement.
Please start by spelling your first and last name for the stenographer and letting us know your affiliation.
My first name is Caleb, K-A-L-E-B. Last name is Jacob, J-A-C-O-B. I'm a landowner in Maine. So I think we're all here because Massachusetts wants clean, renewable energy. I'm not asking you a question, I'm just making a statement. We have been going to this region where you're going to blast a hole through our wilderness, literally, a clear cut, a permanent clear cut, through the last frontier you have on the East Coast. I've been going up there for over 25 years. I have a cabin that has I can show you right where that's going to go. CMP has said this is not pristine and this is not unique, this picture here. And I'll leave it. Anybody can have it. It's about as pristine as you can get. And I'm going to see a big power line going through there just for you guys. Now, it seems to me that before you do something like that to one of your neighbors, in the name of green and in the name of the environment, you would consider doing it to yourselves. Well, you've turned down Cape Wind, you've decommissioned your power plants, and you're going to raise a swath right through our front yard because you don't want it in your backyard. To me, that's immoral. I don't come to Boston very often. I came for this. This is important. There's a lot of people that are very upset about this because this has flown under the radar quite well to the likes of CMP. I ask you, if you really want renewable and clean energy, consider what's actually going to happen. Look up terms like heritage waters, native brook trout. These aren't just stupid terms up in Maine. These are the last places you can find things like that. You don't have any heritage waters here, which is a place where brook trout have spawned for thousands of years. If you catch a fish in a pond, this one right here, his ancestors have been there for thousands of years since the Ice Age went out. And we're looking at destroying some of that. Now you might say we're going to do it safely, or we're not going to worry about it, we're going to wash our hands of all this because these experts and highly paid people, there's a lot of attorneys in this room, I guess, they said it was okay. But in reality, once this approval is given to go forward, and the skidders and the machines go out there and they start raising this forest, and they start putting silt in the water, where the brook trout are going to choke on it, they're the first to go, then we won't be catching those anymore in some of those places. And then when you clear your brush, I don't know if you're going to use Agent Orange out there, and that will get in there too. That's going to hurt it. There's a lot of places that are going to be opened up now because of this. We like it because it's not opened up. We like it because it is hard to get to. A lot of you are tourists too. A lot of you like to go up here and see exactly this right here in Maine. This will change that. I'm asking you, please, consider that. Consider what the Canadians have done to themselves. Consider what they've done to the Native Americans up there with the hydro dams. And consider, if you read deep enough, you'll find out that around 5 o'clock in the morning and around 8 o'clock or 5 o'clock at night, they have to let more water out of some of those dams to keep up with that power consumption. There is not unlimited power up there right now. There are stories on that, and they're fresh ones. All you have to do is look. So, as much as I don't want to see that power cord go through, wouldn't it be a shame if you had a brownout just because you got power from somewhere that couldn't quite deliver? And if they have to deliver more by damming up more dams and killing more caribou and everything else, I don't think in these city buildings here, these big shiny city buildings, I don't think that absolves us of anything. Thank you. Thank you.
Please stand and raise your right hand. Do you swear that the statement you're about to give is the truth? Please spell your first and last name for the staff and let us know your affiliation.
DAVIDNICEKERSON. Thank you. I'm a lifelong Massachusetts resident. I went to North Adams State College, which became Mass College of Liberal Arts while I was there. And my last set of credits I needed, I could have taken a badminton class, or I could have taken a whitewater tandem canoeing class, which I took with Sandy Stockmall, and we fell in love with the Deerfield River. A hydro dam in Western Mass gives us regular releases out there. What I didn't like was that it's a mess. And when I found the Kennebec River, I found home. I found a place that's the most beautiful place in New England. I've been all over the country, so much so that last year I bought land up there, and it crushes me. We climbed to the top of Pleasant Pond Mountain after taking friends up from Massachusetts every weekend to boat. We climbed to the top of Pleasant Pond Mountain after 2 runs on the Kennebec. Sorry, Caleb, is this, where's this from? Is this Pleasant Pond? Or?
That's from my front yard, Grace Pond.
Grace Pond.
Number 5 Mountain, Addian Pond.
Just crushes me the idea that we can be at the top of that mountain, see lines run across. The idea that when we bring friends down the bottom half of the Kennebec Gorge, where it's this perfect place, or after 2 runs, taking them on the upper section, or floating the lower, we see bald eagles around the bend. And it's going to be destroyed. A set of lines run through is going to destroy it. Caleb spelled it out better than me, but there's great documentation that just makes it clear the amount of damage. There's lots of lawyers who are going to argue otherwise, but it's a small voice, the people up there that know it and love it. And I'd ask that lawyers, I'd love to take you all up and take you boating so you can see the beauty that's going to be destroyed. And when this might happen, it's an amazing thing. There are so many other options. I just don't think we need to destroy this to bring power to Massachusetts. Caleb, thank you for being so well spoken. I look forward to seeing you up there. That's all I have, Kate. Thank you.
Heather Fish? Yes. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear that the statement you're about to give is the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. Please spell your first and last name, please, doctor, and let us know your affiliation.
Sure, it's Heather, H-E-A-T-H-E-R, Klisch, C-L-I-S-H. I'm with the Appalachian Mountain Club. I'm the Director of Conservation and Recreation Policy. And thank you for the opportunity to give comments on, I'll just move that away, sorry, on these petitions. I'd like to start with just a little bit about AMC and our areas of interest, both geographically and then with the substance of these contracts. AMC is the oldest conservation and recreation organization in the United States. We promote the protection, enjoyment, and understanding of the mountains, forests, and waters and the trails of our Northeast and Mid-Atlantic regions. We have 100,000 members from Maine down to the Virginia area, 30,000 of which are here in Massachusetts, many of whom travel around to other states, including Maine, to enjoy recreational activities and enjoy our region's special destination landscapes. Like this is very pretty. AMC also has a very long history of research and advocacy in the areas of air quality and climate change. We also feel that the development of renewable energy facilities must be undertaken with a full understanding of the potential consequences, and that any adverse impacts associated with the facilities should be avoided, minimized, and as a very last resort, mitigated to the maximum degree possible. AMC does strongly support the Global Warming Solutions Act. We worked with the administration, the legislature, and partner non-governmental organizations to pass the Energy Diversity Act of 2016 that precipitated this procurement. We also provided stakeholder comments during the RFP development phase and very much appreciated the opportunity to do so. Our comments were specific to the environmentally preferable, environmentally preferable selection criteria. AMC was also, as you may know, deeply engaged in all stages of the permitting of the Northern Pass transmission projects. And some of our comments are derived from that experience. AMC also has related expertise and experience in the areas of Maine that the New England Clean Energy Connect project would impact, as well as long involvement in hydropower as an energy resource in general. AMC's work to ensure the conservation and appropriate development of Maine's undeveloped forest regions, with a particular focus on the western Maine Mountains region that this would go through. As an intervener many years ago in the FERC relicensing of the Harris Dam hydroelectric project on the Kennebec River, AMC also led the development of a settlement agreement that included flow regimes to support paddling opportunities for different skill levels, like the previous speaker spoke about, downstream of the Harris Dam at the Kennebec Gorge, in addition to shoreline protection and public access. AMC is on the board of the Low Impact Hydro Institute and has consistently supported Massachusetts RPS requirements that hydropower be LEHI certified to qualify. We have three main areas of concern and comments, and I'll cover those now. Our first area of concern is that the cost of the New England Clean Energy Connect transmission project may be unrealistically low, and that would affect the contracting. For several reasons, the full cost of the proposed New England Clean Energy Connect project may not be fully known at this time. This could, of course, impact both the cost of the contract and the timing of the project completion, which are both critical factors and appear to have been critical factors in its selection. In our opinion, it's premature to assume that the cost of the project is final. AMC argues, and we're active in the main siting processes, argues that the New England Clean Energy Connect project could be made less impactful to what is a globally significant forest that would be permanently fragmented by 53 miles of new 100-foot wide corridor, and to the Kennebec Gorge, which would be crossed by the project and is recognized for special consideration under the Maine Rivers Act and the Maine Land Use Planning Commission's recreational resource zoning. Avoiding, minimizing, and as a last resort mitigating impacts can ensure smoother and speedier permitting, which is also critically important for meeting the goals of the 83D procurement process. However, AMC also understands from past experience that work to avoid, minimize, and mitigate impacts can increase the cost of a project as well. So far, the project developer's proposals to avoid or mitigate impacts of this project are inadequate. AMC knows from our experience with Northern Pass that when projects change to avoid some impacts, such as Northern Pass's proposal to bury the project for 52 miles around the White Mountain National Forest, it increased the cost. In this case, the cost increased by $400 million due to that change and other changes as well. And this was still inadequate to receive all of the necessary permits. At the time the NECEC 83 bid was submitted, it had not been vetted with a significant range of stakeholders or entered the permitting process. As more information about the project and its impacts become publicly available, general concern and opposition are growing, as are recommendations like ours for avoiding impacts and, if possible, and if impacts are truly unavoidable, fully compensating for its impacts. As of yet, it appears that the cost of the project may not accommodate adequate avoidance or compensation. It appears that NECEC was selected for its relatively low cost, even though the project has not been fully vetted for its impacts and does not appear to include potential additional costs of avoiding or adequately mitigating the impacts. AMC therefore asks the DPU to give careful scrutiny to the cost of the proposed project relative to its actual viability. My other two areas aren't going to be quite as long as this. The next area of concern and request that we have is for additional transparency of the evaluation criterion process. The stage 2 evaluation of both the quantitative and qualitative factors appear to have been important in the project selection, as they should have been. Qualitative factors accounted for 25% of the stage 2 evaluation, including factors of project viability, siting and permitting, and environmental impacts from siting. Yet in the independent evaluators report, there is really only very general, cursory public information about how the qualitative factors were actually reviewed and weighted. The evaluators report makes it clear that NECEC was chosen because of its lower cost, even though it said that another project ranked only slightly lower than Northern Pass, and it had a higher qualitative score. However, if NECEC's ranking was based on incomplete or incorrect assumptions about the environmental impacts of siting, which may now be becoming more fully understood, and it affected the associated costs of essentially avoiding or addressing those impacts, it could affect the project's viability. So, to provide additional transparency to the evaluation and selection process, AMC respectfully requests that the DPU require the evaluation team to share greater details about how the qualitative evaluation was implemented, such as criteria for each evaluation factor, the scoring weights, and associated evaluation reports. Our final area of concern is about greenhouse gas emission reductions, and we suggest strongly that they should be fully and unequivocally understood for this project. While the 83D RFP seeks generation incremental to the New England control area, and the statutory requirement for a contract under 83D is to use a tracking system that allows the Commonwealth to measure progress specifically toward meeting our own Global Warming Solutions Act requirements, it remains unclear whether these contracts will result in overall greenhouse gas emissions beyond the Massachusetts footprint, or instead divert power from other areas such as New York or Ontario, leaving those places to fill a gap with other sources of energy that appear to be as of yet undetermined. The environmental benefits to ratepayers the environmental benefits that ratepayers stand to receive under this RFP are from actual global atmospheric greenhouse gas reductions. And therefore, we suggest that there should be unequivocal confidence that these benefits will be actualized. Additionally, the New England Clean Energy Connect transmission line, as it's currently proposed, would carry significant cost to the New England environment and to the northern New England recreation economy. The actual benefits of this project should again be fully understood to warrant such impacts. To date, information that has been publicly presented on this important question has been conflicting and has been provided only by parties with the direct interest in the outcome of the proceedings. Testimony to the New Hampshire Site Evaluation Committee documented the same concern with the recently denied Northern Pass project, and the question was also never answered in that venue. AMC therefore urges the DPU to commission an independent analysis of the project's potential greenhouse gas reductions, including an analysis of methane releases resulting from new reservoir flooding that might be associated with this project, whether hydropower would be new overall power or be diverted from other areas or markets, and if shifted from other areas, a reasonable prediction of how lost hydropower would be replaced. Thank you for your time and your consideration of all of these comments. Yes, I submitted it to the record. This has my scribbles. All right.
Thank you. Susan Eli? Can you please stand and raise your right hand? Do you affirm that the statement you're about to give is true? Please spell your first and last name to the sponsor and let us know your affiliation.
First name is Susan, S-U-S-A-N. Last name is Ely, E-L-Y, and my affiliation is the Natural Resources Council of Maine, or NRCM. Good afternoon. My name is Susan Ely, and I'm a staff attorney for the Natural Resources Council of Maine, and I'm here to urge you to reject these three contracts at issue in dockets 1864, 1865, and 1866. By way of background, the Natural Resources Council of Maine has been closely and actively examining this project for nearly a year, including as an intervener in the ongoing review at the Maine Public Utilities Commission since last October. A little bit about the Natural Resources Council of Maine. We are a 501c3 organization in Maine. We work to protect, restore, and conserve Maine's environment now and for future generations. We have been doing this work for 60 years. We have more than 20,000 members and supporters statewide, and over 9,000 of those members and supporters live and work and recreate in the counties that will be most directly impacted by this proposed transmission line. We work throughout Maine to protect the health of Maine's rivers, lakes, streams, and coastal waters. We promote sustainable communities. We decrease air and climate changing pollution through initiatives for energy efficiency and renewable energy. And we work to conserve Maine's lands and wildlife habitat, including our treasure Northwoods. Central Maine powers New England